I'm your host, Tiffany Sauder, and this is Scared Confident. The question I'm answering today is, what principles guide your parenting? I know I have lots more to learn about parenting as my kids get older, but there's three principles that I'd say most of my decisions as a parent, most of our decisions, JR and I's as parents for the girls wrap around these three things. I remember I don't know. I don't think I had kids. So there's a story first before I tell you the first one. I think I was in my mid-20s and I was at a meeting and I was meeting with a gentleman and he had brought his son to the meeting and his kid was probably like 8 years old, something like that. And at the end of the meeting, I said, wow, your child is super well behaved. This was excellent. I love that you're exposing them to business. They're really well behaved. And his response to me was, well, kids behave to your expectations. And I was like, what? He said, well, kids behave in alignment of what you expect of them. So if you expect that 2-year-olds throw fits, then you will accept that your 2-year-old is throwing a fit. If you expect that 3-year-olds don't stay in bed, then you will accept that your 3-year-old doesn't stay in bed. But when you expect great behavior from your kids, then that's what you parent to. And kids know what you expect from them. And obviously the way that you guide them and lead them and what you allow and what you have consequences for informs that. But this idea of kids behaving to your expectations, I have found it to be very true. My oldest is almost 13. My youngest is 1. And even Quincy at 1, like my expectation is that she does not flip over every single time I try to change her diaper. Like she knows what's happening and she knows when she's being defiant about that. And so I think making sure that you're clear in your own mind about what you expect from your kids, because they will behave in accordance with that. So that's the first one. Kids behave to your expectations. The second is model to your kids what you want them to do. And this comes out for me, I think, I want my kids to be respectful. I'm sure most listening want their kids to be respectful. And if we want our kids to say please and thank you, and if we want our kids to close the door, and if we want our kids to be ordered, then we need to be that to them. We are modeling to them those things. So when you ask your child for something, do you say hey, can you please pass the milk? Or hey, thanks for putting that away for me. Or I really appreciate you cleaning up your room like I asked you to. Are we being respectful in the way that we engage with them? Because that's modeling that to them. And I think when we ask them to say please and thank you to strangers, but we don't do that inside our own homes, it really isn't getting it deep inside their character of, we are respectful to one another. That's how this works. And I'm going to be respectful to you, and I'm going to expect you to be that way to me. That doesn't mean we can't have disagreements. That doesn't mean that we can't work through things, but we're going to be respectful, and I'm going to respect you as a way to start and to model that. So I think that if you walked into our home, you would see a lot of kindness from JR and I to our kids, because I'm expecting kindness from them to me. I don't want them to be disrespectful of me. I don't want them to talk to me in a tone of voice that is snarky. And so even when I'm disciplining them, I'm work to be measured about that so that they understand it's not conditional. We do need to talk about some things that are difficult, but I want to model that to them because that's how I want them to be. So you can pick your own things. Maybe that's not what's important to you, but understand we can't just ask our kids to memorize our expectations. We have to model them. And the third one, this one came to mind because I had a particular experience come up this week where I needed to ask Ivy for forgiveness. So the third one is that be willing to demonstrate sorry and forgiveness. Meaning as a parent, sometimes we need to say to our kids that we're sorry because we have done something that disappointed them, that let them down, that violated a promise that we made to them. And I think it's difficult, but it's a great way to show that we aren't perfect. And when we do something that we're disappointed in, that we're willing to say that we're sorry and ask them for forgiveness. So my little situation was that this week was Spirit Week. The kids needed to dress up every day. And these things push me over the edge. It's one more thing to remember. And I just stink at it. And partially I stink at it because I don't care about it. And I forget that it's very important when you're in school that you do those things. And it's very important, in particular when you're 6, that you participate in those things. So on Wednesday of this week, it was dress up like your ideal career day. So there were like policemen and like ninjas, and Ivy said her teacher dressed up as a Peloton instructor. So, like the whole school is in costume. And I forgot. So I sent Ivy to school in her regular clothes. And so she gets to school and it's basically like, Halloween 1.0. And I got home from work. My nanny picked her up from school, and my nanny said that she was crying on the way home. And when I got home from work, she kind of like had it out with me. Like she was really hurt and she was embarrassed and she was mad. And I understand that. I deserve that. That was justified that she was angry with me for forgetting that she needed to dress up that day and she wanted to be a makeup artist. And so she said, Mom, when they went around the circle, I had to say that I just wanted to be myself when I grow up. But that's not true. That's not what I want to be. I want to be a makeup artist. And it broke my heart that I disappointed her. But I also recognized in that moment, it was an opportunity for me to show her that when you've done something wrong, you need to say you're sorry. And so I said, Ivy, you're right. I disappointed you. You are right. I did not remember. I did not make it a priority to remember. And that is hurtful. And I'm sorry about that. And she did not forgive me right away. She needed to be mad for a minute. But that evening we talked through it. We came up with a plan B. I emailed her teacher and I said like, hey, will you be a partner with me in this? Ivy was really mad at me. I understand. Could she pick another day to like be a makeup artist so that she can show her friends what she wants to be? And so, I think that it was not a great mom moment. I honestly haven't beat myself up over it. Like I hate that I did that, but it is part of being busy and I accept those consequences. And I feel like I got a chance to demonstrate to Ivy that I am not too big, too proud, too adulty to say I'm sorry to her. And we got to talk about forgiveness. So I think just remembering that our kids don't need us to be perfect, but they do need us to be completely human, even in those moments when we fail them. So what else is on your mind? Text me, 317-350-8921, 317-350-8921. And be sure to follow along on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening today.